Guys, welcome back to Lost Legends TV. I'm Ray, and today we are reviewing The Collector. So last week I put out a video about The Collection, which is the second installment of this franchise. And it wouldn't be ideal for me to do the sequel without reviewing the original. So I did go back and I rewatched it, and I was amazed about how different they were, but yet in the same vein. Let me explain. For those who have not seen the movie, spoilers ahead. The Collector is a 2009 film which stars Arkin, who is the ex-con, and in order to pay his debt that his ex-old lady owes, he has to rob his boss. Arkin works in construction. He is renovating this house, updating security, doing some renovations. There are multiple teams working on this project. This boss has hired exterminators, electricians, remodelers, you name it. It has to be done. So in the midst of remodeling the house, he had been scoping out the house, one being this big giant jewel that they keep in the safe that he does eventually go and get, but yet he doesn't manage to make it out. Before I dive into a lot of these details, one thing that really separates this from its sequel is the soundtrack that they use. This movie plays heavily upon soundtracks, which really works nice in the narrative. And when I say soundtracks, I don't mean score composition. Soundtracks classify as actual songs made for the film, or when they pull from an existing song that already exists. Score composition is somebody takes an instrument and they compose. Much like John Carpenter's Halloween, dun 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 dun, Harriman Freddy, all of his Friday the 13th soundtracks. They took these really touching songs and excelled the story with it. So Arkin meets up with his old lady and his daughter that he has to do something about his ex-old lady's death, or her and his daughter is really going to be in trouble. But before that, Arkin's there is working at the house. He's talking to Hannah, the boss's daughter. We meet Jill, and Jill is like the wild, outlandish, rebellious teenager, smoking cigarettes, having sex with a boyfriend kind of thing. She's older, by the way. And Hannah had given him the tip to give his own daughter a Baskin Bear, which he does. So Arkin breaks into this house. He already knows where the safe is, and he tries to steal the jewel so he can get 40% of the deal and get the cash payout. Everything's smooth. However, the whole house is fucking booby-trapped. And one great thing about this film, which separates it, what I feel like, from the sequel, is the transitional shots. The sequel, The Collection, did do this, but I don't feel like it capitalized as much as this one. It's a straight up cat and mouse game between Arkin and the Collector. There are multiple times Arkin makes distractions, and the Collector and Arkin's like nose to nose, but they're just separated by a thin wall, and the camera pans up and you see like Arkin making a distraction, standing behind the wall. The Collector's right here. The Collector moves away. Arkin moves down the stairs again. I'm talking about this beautiful, beautiful timing and screenplay here. And Arkin at this point don't know what the fuck is going on. He tries to escape through the front door. He sees all these traps. The front door has multiple locks on them. The windows are boarded up. They got razors on them. He tries to use the phone, but the phone's booby trapped. There's a needle sticking out of it. He goes, kink. And I'm just like, dude, that's gotta hurt. And just the suspense and the amplified energy of Arkin almost having these near encounters with these traps, it's so entertaining. Again, I think The Collector is one of the most underrated gems in horror cinema. And when Arkin showed up, some of the traps that was set wasn't even finished. Like one thing was the chandelier that Arkin saw on the ground and not set it up back on the wall yet. The Collector zip tied knives to the chandelier. Anybody who opens up the front door, bang, is gonna be stabbed with like 36 knives, but you're not gonna survive that. This movie is so entertaining. It's so original and it's so cruel. Like the Collector had poured all this acid on the floor and the pet cat got stuck in it. And Arkin tried to free it, which that was really hard to watch because he's sitting there pulling that fucking pussy up and the skin's just, I mean, it's fucking rough. And then the fucking cat goes and tries to jump out the window and gets cut in half by the booby trap. I mean, it's just like, wow. This movie also goes in directions which most horror movies wouldn't. Like Arkin had escaped the house. He did successfully. So yes, Arkin had the perfect escape. It's raining down. All he had to do was move forward and he would have been gravy. It would have been game over. But unfortunately, we find out that the family never left. He sees Hannah in the house, banging on the window, and of course he's not gonna leave a little girl there with the killer, so he goes back inside as a fucking hero and tries to save Hannah. And once you think that things are amplified there, boy, things get heated with the Collector, Hannah, and Arkin. A perfect example of this is Arkin goes and finds Hannah and they can't get out of this room. They lock the door. The Collector knows that they're in there, but Arkin, again, one of the things that I said last week in the collection video, Arkin is so witty and quick on his feet. He thinks of just out of the box things to distract the Collector with, and just his pure predator sense of survival. Arkin and Hannah set up this plan to where they're gonna knock over this big ass fish tank and electrocute the Collector when he walks in. Okay, when the Collector breaks the door down, Arkin pushes the big ass tank over with water. Hannah throws down the TV to electrocute the Collector, but guess what? He throws another body down, which is the body that we see in the opening scene of this poor old man that Arkin had talked to earlier in the film, by the way. In the opening scene, we see this old man and his wife get captured. Arkin's like, nah, fuck that, go back in your box, buddy. So yeah, the plan did not work. And eventually, Arkin gets captured. But Hannah does get the chance to hide again. So Arkin's down in the basement. He sees his boss, he sees his wife. And one of my pet peeves about this film, and it's just this thing that I feel like it's realistic, but it's just this annoying cliche in horror that the wife will not shut the fuck up. He finds his boss is beaten to a pulp, but he understands. Arkin's like, okay man, look, scream for me, I'm gonna go back upstairs and handle my business. Well, it doesn't happen that way. We do see the oldest daughter, Jill, come back with her boyfriend. They go into the house, and they're trying to get some We see little nips hanging out, and it's really disturbing because the Collector just sitting there licking his lips and shit like a fucking pervert, tossing his knife back and forth. And it's a cool kill with the boyfriend because he gets kicked into the kitchen or the dining room table and there's bear traps everywhere. And multiple parts of his body just get fucking ate up by bear traps. Legs, his back, his arms, and finally his fucking head. Gruesome, gruesome. Jill's in the same vein. Just like her mom, she will not shut the fuck up. She will not follow directions. She got captured. Fucking Collector has her up, tied up in barbed wire. Arkin distracts the Collector, comes downstairs again, sets her free, but she will not fucking follow directions. And she gets put in the trap where she's basically hung up by nails. I mean, it's just teamwork makes the dream work, man. Like, just shut the fuck up and let's get out of here. Another really big thing I liked about the Collector, he is also very innovative and creative in the way he attacks. It's not just a knife kill like a slasher. He's throwing knives. He's got these traps. He got these guns. And hell, before Jill died, she managed to call 911. A cop shows up. The Collector's outside waiting for him. Pouring ass down rain. Drops his knife. Surrenders. But guess what? He sticks his German Shepherds on him. And he's gone. The Collector loves his dogs. So finally we reach the climax of the film, where once again Arkin had escaped the basement from his punishment, which is a gruesome scene, by the way. This is really something you have to watch to experience, because I cannot put in the words of how fucked up the Collector makes this movie. So Arkin saves Hannah once again, and they're trying to get out the house, but the Collector's coming in. He's got a fucking shotgun at this point. And one thing I really love is that Arkin has set up this mirror by the front door because the doors was locked. There was no way they can get out. The Collector thought it was them. The Collector pumps the fucking shotty, booga, in turn busting out all the locks. The door's now open. If you remember me talking about the chandelier that he had finally hung up was attached to the door, the chandelier comes down on him. He's trapped. Arkin and Hannah escape to the road. They see more police coming. Arkin goes out on the road, boom, gets hit by a cop car, and you're just like, what the fuck? Because he's standing there injured. He looks over the road at Hannah, and you see the Collector in the woods about to grab Hannah. But that was a hallucination. The cop grabs Hannah, puts Hannah in the car, leaves, they're free to go. Arkin gets put in the ambulance. He reaches in his pocket, and he's got the jewel that he stole. Puts it back. He tells the ambulance driver, hey, what time is it? It's like, it's almost 12 o'clock. The deadline that Arkin had was 12 o'clock. He had succeeded in accomplishing his original goal. So he tells the paramedic, bro, can I please borrow your phone? I have to call my wife. He's like, yeah, sure, bro. And then guess what? The fucking ambulance crashes, and guess what? The Collector comes and collects Arkin, throws him into the box. They have a fight. Arkin's hands being crushed, and then boom, fade to black. And that's the movie. There is a substantial amount that I've left out, but I cannot spoil everything. This is one of the movies that I implore you guys all to watch. I may sound like a broken record, but this is one of my most underrated gems in horror cinema. I feel like everybody should watch The Collector, and I feel like about 75-80% of people will fall in love with it, especially when they see the sequel, because the sequel is good. It's not great, but it's a great follow-up, especially when you watch them in conjunction with each other. It's like, I'm not a huge fan of Halloween 2, 1981, right? But in conjunction with the 1978, when you watch them front to back, back to back, this is in the same vein. Once you watch them back to back, it's a real good ride. Josh Stewart, when he plays Arkin, phenomenal. Juan Fernandez as the Collector, I feel like he's creepy in this film. He's intuitive. And there's just something that in this film that really separates him from the guy that played him in the second one, Randall Archer. It's a fun ride. It's entertaining. And I would give this a solid 8 out of 10. For the most part, the movie goes against the norm. It has a phenomenal soundtrack that comes in and out at the perfect times. The overhead crane shots where you see just the wall separating Arkin and the Collector. What Arkin has to do to outsmart the Collector to buy time so he won't get killed. And then he has to do that with Hannah on his back, literally. And just the character arc of Arkin himself, where you learn what his background is, what he has to do to survive, what kind of guy he is. It's really cool because in this movie, you actually see the Collector working as an exterminator. You don't see his face. He's wearing like a half mask. But it's just another thing to tease the audience to be like, oh my God, that's him. I wonder what he really looks like, because in the franchise, we never see his face, which I think is a strong point. The cinematics are beautiful in this. Arkin's journey trying to get out of the house. Like there's one scene where he's breaking off these boards on the windows, and one of the boards come down and it's booby trapped, and there's fucking razor in his fucking hand, and he's got to pull it out. I mean, very Saw-esque. Marcus Dunstan, which is one of the writers for multiple Saw films, wrote this, so it feels kind of Saw-esque. Just imagine having your fucking hand stuck, because if it's inside your skin, you can't pull this way because it's gonna rip your fucking skin off. There's literally nothing you can do about it. And here's to hoping that we get a third installment of this franchise, The Collected. Maybe. Let's hope. Thank you guys so much for watching this movie review, and thank you for taking part of your day to kick it with me. Guys, I really do appreciate it. I love you all. Until next time, adios.